Hooray! You are now tuned.
I thought you were waiting on me to do the hooray, and I was like, he's going to be waiting a long time.
I was half thinking. Hooray!
It's going off with Rap Critic and Muse. How's everybody doing? Wow.
We back up in this thing one more time.
Oh, God. Yep, sure. And we got
new
new albums.
That's right.
We're going to get ahead of the curve this week because in the past, when we offer the album review requests, which, by the way, if you want to request an album, if you talked about it on the show, head on over to our Ko-fi. That is ko-fi.com/goinoff. That's GOINOFF. One-time pledge. You can buy a request for an album to be reviewed on a future episode. We have reviewed, 3 or 4 Florence and the Machine albums as requests. This time, no. We're going to nip it in the bud. We are going to go ahead and jump on it first. So we've got Dance Fever.
We sure do.
As well as the double disc Top Dog Swan Song, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers from Kendrick Lamar. So we're going to start with Kendrick Lamar. No, we got Florence and the Machine, Dance Fever, as previously mentioned. A good bit of it co-written and co-produced by Jack Antonoff of Fun and Bleachers. We've talked about him a couple times before on the show.
Yeah.
Kind of know what you're getting into when you check out these records. This one, a bit more poppy, a bit more mainstream accessible, if I dare say, a bit more dancey. It's in the title.
Her. You know, like,
it's still very much her. Yeah.
Like so don't fret, folks. Same great Florence and the Machine taste.
I can't say enough about the vocal performances on this.
Oh,
always
my
top
goodness.
tier.
Oh, the vocals, I'm melting when I hear them.
So I'm gonna toss it over to you first. What were some of your favorite cuts on this thing?
Definitely got to start off with King. Then, oh my God, Choreomania. Just that one lyric where he says, like, if Jesus came back, but in a beautiful dress, and all the evangelicals were like, oh, yes. And it was preceded by the lyric about, like, you said that rock and roll is dead, but is that just because it hasn't been resurrected in your image? Like, yo, the poison pin on this woman.
This is Florence Welch at her most sassy. It's the fucking, the Scoville scale of spiciness in
Scoville,
some are, mild to like, ooh, I'm gonna need a little bit of milk. Some of these on here are fucking scorching, and that fucking paragraph there. There is kind of a theme. It kind of comes and goes. It's not really a concept album per se, but
it's a vibe. How about that?
It certainly is a vibe.
Her vibe is earth toned.
It comes down to that. Florence was trying to make a record to voice her frustrations around COVID, not necessarily the Eric Clapton, Van Morrison, we're gonna wear masks type
Aaron
bullshit.
Lewis, fucking Kid Rock head ass.
Yeah, not like that.
Keep it.
But
stay back in the late 90s, early 2000s.
More of the, I hate that I can't be touring because, like, I'm almost kind of getting, like...
Cabin fever. Yeah.
Not being able to, like... And what I love here is at the end of the album, with Morning Elvis, which is an amazing closer on the record, she's talking about how, like, after every tour she does, she kind of, like, thinks to herself, like, man, this is going to be it. Like, I don't know if I can do this anymore.
Aww.
And then the world's like, okay, you don't want to tour? Fine. And she's like, oh, well, not like that.
You know what that made me think of? I remember when I was a kid and I was playing basketball, and, I wasn't the best one on the team, you know what I'm saying, athletically, or what have you, but I like playing the game,
You had the height, though, for sure.
Right. I remember I was like, man, I always felt like I was sitting on the bench. And I remember like having one night before a game where I was like, dang, I really wish I get to play this time. And then that next day, only 5 people showed up, including me. And so we had to play the entire game. And I was like, I mean, I'm glad I'm doing this, but oh no.
You and Florence Welch had the fucking cursed monkey paw.
The monkey paw, and you never know when that finger's gonna curl.
You never know. It's like, wait.
wait, what if Billy does? Wait, go back.
I thought most of this fucking album blew it out of the water.
Yeah, let's just say it.
Except, honestly, for me, it dragged a little bit towards the middle. It kind of drooped. The two lowest ratings I had, Dream Girl Evil, which I thought was a bit underwhelming of a song, and Prayer Factory.
I do have to say I did like that one lyric. Well, did I disappoint you? Did mommy make you sad? Like the way she woo.
Just about every song can be saved from the way she delivers these lines. Especially, look no further. If you need a sample and you're short on time, listen to Restraint. It's like 40 seconds, and the way she delivers these lines with like a snapping of her jaw at the end of some of these lines, like, it's kind of creepy, honestly. Like,
yeah.
This is like a more mainstream, accessible lingua ignota kind of.
Right, like the way she uses her vocal fry is so just deliciously evil.
Yeah, I mean, have you seen the music video for King? The single art for each song kind of has its own little, almost like a tarot card kind of artwork to them, which is really cool. And the music videos are kind of in that same vein. In the King video, she's just like floating above everybody with like this long flowing cape, and she just like finds this person and like lifts them off the ground without touching them, and as they like raise to her, she just snaps the guy's neck, and he just kind of slowly floats back down, and just like, oh my god, what's happening? And then at the end of the music video, this guy sees her and is like, no, I'm gonna walk up to her. And he like walks up to her all determined, and she leans down and she like kisses him. But then it cuts back to a really far away shot, and you just kind of see her face, her head like keep going, like she's devouring his head. It's like, oh my god, no! It's so fucking creepy. It's so funny. For as upbeat and dancey and uplifting this album is musically, holy shit, it's creepy, man. Like,
it's
if you
on
actually
that
pay,
Dark Witch, Scarlet Witch swag.
You could tell she was going through some shit, especially with like the lyrics and how like affected with everything she has been through the past couple years. It really comes across.
Yeah, and I agree with you on Prayer Factory. Like, just the weird, like, barely gets going kind of track. Like,
yeah,
it doesn't really feel like it led into the next song. Like, it was just kind of like, oh, okay. But I did like Heaven Is Here. That's right. I was like, the intro to this one was nuts.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. And then when the way it ends, where she's saying, like, the escape rope up to heaven, and then you hear the sharp gasp as the intro into the next track, Daffodil. I was just like, whoa.
The fucking gasps and everything in Daffodil, the fucking energy in Daffodil is so fucking cool. It changes with each chorus, but it says, I'm not bad, I'm not good. And then it says, there is no bad, there is no good. And she says, I drank every sky that I could. Then it says, I drank all the blood that I could.
Yeah, just the imagery.
Made myself mythical. I tried to be real. Saw the future in the face of a... And then it goes, daffodil. It's not much of a chorus because it just kind of repeats daffodil.
Yeah, daffodil.
But the way it builds up to it is so cool.
Yeah, so intense. I just see a slow-mo close-up of like a daffodil as you just hear the intense daffodil.
King, especially with like how she almost sounds like she's on the verge of tears. Hear her like almost choking back tears almost. It sounds like, holy shit. But then Free is like a total 180.
Yeah. Oh my god, yeah.
The synth instrumental of Free.
The techno vibes going on.
So yeah, this was like, right. Okay.
It's like, okay.
Because the whole time I'm like, Dance Fever. What's that? I was like, what's that got to do with anything? Because
what's this?
Of this album, the only thing I heard before we reviewed it was she posted a short video for Restraint on Twitter. And I was like, oh fuck, this is gonna be dark as shit. I'm like, it kind of reminded me of this is gonna sound so, out of left field here, but kind of reminded me of the Clipping albums, those two most recent ones that were like horror themed.
Right.
I was like, oh, this is like a weird tone.
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, when I got to Free, I was like, oh, there's the dance fever. And then it goes into Choreomania. It's hard as fuck to say. So I was like, oh shit, okay, now I got it. Now I get it.
Back in Town starts off so silently that I kept having to check if it actually started or not. Yeah. It's like one of the lesser ones, but like in a sea of 6 out of 5s for my ratings that I'm getting for this motherfucker. Like, it's kind of like, even then, it's like, you know what I mean? Like, I think I said about Lupe Fiasco for that one album, where it's just like, this person on autopilot is still this person, like
right, yeah.
Dream Girl, I really enjoyed. Like I said, Prayer Factory, it just felt like it just wasn't put to good use in what was happening. Heaven Was Here, Going Into Daffodil is just a beautiful 1-2 punch. And then The Bomb, how did you feel about that one?
I really liked The Bomb. I kind of got what I wrote down, big time 70s Carly Simon energy on this one.
Oh, mirror in the sky, what is love?
I even quoted the, I've blown apart my life for you, and bodies hit the floor for you, and break me, shake me, devastate me. Come here, baby, tell me that I'm wrong. I don't love you, I just love the bomb. It's like,
it's so intense.
Fuck.
The wording is so intense for how light and like sweet the musicality is.
Yeah.
That's the weird thing. Because I was like, The Bomb. Oh my God, what is this song gonna be about? And then I was like, oh.
Is this like fucking How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb, Dr. Strangelove kind of deal? Or what's going on here? What I wrote down from Genius on the Girl Against God track, Geeks and Shows is where I find my experience of spirituality, and that's where God is for me, in these rooms with you. And I've seen so much love in these halls for 10 to 15 years, so I've been having a kind of complete spiritual collapse at the shutting down of all the shows and all the faces I've connected. So I kind of imagined an army of furious girls in their pajamas waging war on heaven, because I was very, very, very angry, and I was in my pajamas most of the time. And so this song is kind of about that feeling, and it's called Girls Against God. And I just kind of got between that and Dream Girl Evil, I kind of got what I wrote down as, like, girl boss, target, feminism, like, kind of vibe.
That one lyric, though, what a thing to admit, that when someone looks at me with real love, I don't like it very much. Kind of makes me feel like I'm being crushed. Like, ooh. There was something to that was just like, whoa. And it's fascinating that you described that because, take it back, because I want to just have this experience of this being this deeper artistic thing. Not girls in their pajamas who are, let's get this guy out of here so we can go back to brunch, like. Yeah,
I want my mimosas. Like, no. What? I got such a bigger vibe from this. Don't say that. I also have quoted, I really like this part from Back in Town. It's lit up like a movie scene, that halogen glow.
Oh, yeah.
And if you get spat on, that's just your big city baptism. You're the star of the show. I was like, God damn.
These lyrics.
I think this is probably some of her strongest, most clever lyrics.
You know what it is? This movie, have you ever seen that movie, Ruby Rose or something like that? The movie about the guy who has a manic pixie dream girl and he like writes her into existence. After the Did Mommy Make You Sad? Do I just remind you of every girl that made you mad? Make me perfect, make me your fantasy. You know I deserve it. Well, take it out on me. It's just like, oh my God.
Yeah, there's some parts that kind of almost lean into like SNL comedy feminism, but then it kind of like reels it back.
I thought you were about to say S&M.
Oh no.
I was like, I mean, a little bit, I guess.
Maybe if it went more in that direction, I don't
know. If not enough bite to it in that spicier.
A critique of mine that I have written down when I was listening to Dream Girl Evil is that I really like the messages, but sometimes the bite just isn't there.
Could be more. Yeah, I did have a feeling of like, there are moments that were, oh, that was a wonderfully written line right there. But I remember feeling like on certain of the lesser tracks where it was like, that was a good line, and then I'm kind of coasting for the rest of it. Yeah.
Like, sometimes you get sassy when anger would be more appropriate, you know? Like, you just kind of say something kind of tongue-in-cheek when it's like, nah, you should probably be, like, sound more bitter, more offended and angry there.
I think about, was that The Pretty Reckless?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I get that sort of feel to it. Like, it's a, you know, this girl power, like, rock. Yeah, like, you know, it has value. You know what I'm saying? Like, less, you know what I mean? Like, for sure. So.
Oh, sure. I mean, I loved more tracks on this album that I was even kind of lukewarm on at worst. You know, right. I still ended up walking away with a 4.5.
Oh, I gave it a 4.5 as well.
Yeah. I think it was just missing a little bit, but
right.
I mean, if that's what you were going through and that's how you were feeling, I can't tell you you're wrong, you know? Moving on from there, though, we got Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers from Kendrick Lamar. Your boy, back again after
5 years? Yeah, like, that was the reason why I was thinking, I was like, oh my God, 5 years. Like, that's half a decade. Like,
it does not feel like it's been that long since Damn. No way.
When someone, I really do think it is that thing, right? Where it's like, if motherfuckers like you, they're waiting, right? Like, you know, it's just like, oh yeah, when you're ready to come back, yeah, do it. Missy Elliott, but, you know.
My expectations were pretty fucking high from this, especially because To Pimp a Butterfly, and there were even some days where I was like, Damn kind of rivals it even, like. And I like Section 80. I don't really listen to it that much. And Good Kid, Mad City is, you know, fairly, like, it's untouchable in its own right. Mm-hmm. So it was like, are we going to get the clean sweep? And, you know, I will say I was disappointed, but I still really ended up enjoying a lot of this album. I think the problem is just, I don't know if a lot of it is really revisitable for me.
I feel like he took a lot of swings, and it's just like, maybe not all of it exactly paid off, but it was just like one of those things where it's just like, but you were doing that, you know what I mean? Like,
I hate to compare it to an album that I know you weren't a big fan of, but it reminded me a bit of the Moon-Shaped Pool, the Radiohead album, where it's like, I'm getting a lot off my chest. This is a lot of personal shit, and it's like, yeah, this clearly helps you. You got through, and you're obviously advancing and moving ahead on a lot of things. Some issues not as far along as I personally would like to see you at, but we'll get to that later. But overall, it was like, I still enjoyed a lot of this album. I just think people need to know what it is going in and not expect, you know, To Pimp a Butterfly or Damn again. Like, knowing that there was a 5-year absence, there's almost always a reason for that. And when someone does come back after so long, it's because they've got something to say. And this is Kendrick bursting through the fucking doors and screaming, I've got some shit to say.
One of the first big things is that, you know, the narrative, right? Of like, Kendrick, savior of hip hop, is back, you know?
Right.
Like, and I got to say, jumping off the bat, I do like the ambition in that he throws it kind of like back in our faces in a way, right? Where he's like, I'm not perfect, guys. I went to therapy and look, I'm all fucked up and like, look, I'm not this perfect guy, all right? Like, I hope you didn't do that. In fact, I love like at the end where he's just like, sorry, I couldn't be the savior, everyone. You know? This album really is the balancing act of intention versus execution. You know what I'm saying? That's really what so much of this is. And there are some places where I think he goes like, whoa, this just twisted my brain in a way that really like brought me to it. In other ways, it feels like, I'm not sure if you were done with that one. You know what I'm saying?
There's definitely a long way to go on some of this. It's basically just a lot of, and I think they even do that on the album where like addressing like, well, that was a breakthrough, because there is a concept of therapy and seeking help, but a lot of it kind of does get the feeling of you just realize what the issue is, but you haven't really dealt with it as much as you need to. a lot of it, it's just kind of like a aha moment after the other, you know?
The way the experience works. It's so like, and the way it like pulls you inside out in that idea of like, I know that you're expecting me to be the city rep, but here's me telling you I'm actually human and I'm not gonna come at this right, but here I go. You know, like I feel like that's so much smarter and more human to do instead of continuing to be like, and now I would continue to be there. In fact, I thought it was interesting watching the N95 video. Like
I love that video.
Yeah, like as I'm watching it, like it like everything feels so like weird and like oddly not as enthusiastic as you would expect it to be, you know, like in certain respects.
The way he's acting in the music video is just, he's just kind of like just sitting there looking off to the side. But in the video, in the song, it's just like he's fucking going for it. Like he's got the damn energy. It's like, oh shit, he's fucking going for it. And then you see the video and he's just sitting down at a table, just kind of not even looking at the camera. It's just like, oh shit.
And I love the way it ended. Like it kind of gave me that moment of like, cause that moment of revelation of like, is this what the album's trying to do? Where it like has the ending moment where it's like, here's the water and here is me on the cross. And look, you see, this is the image of me being on the cross. See, like, and it's so obviously like this is badly like, you know, like CGI'd together, but it's like just him looking like, yep, I'm supposed to be this. Remember, you know, cause I remember when I first saw that album cover of him wearing the crown of thorns, I gotta tell you, I was so like, what's this, Kendrick? What are you doing? You know, like I had that feeling. No. Like I was like, I came into it going like, you know, before I'd heard about it, anything, I was just like, yeah, let's listen to the album. And then I was like, I saw the album cover and I was like, you gotta be doing something with this, right? You wouldn't just do this, right? And like I said, it really does flip it in that way where it's just like, yeah, I know what you're expecting from me. And then you hear this album and it's like, no, I'm not that at all. I'm actually this complicated fucking person. I'm not perfect. I'm not the savior. Actually, I might have, you know, like imperfect opinions and here I go. You know, like.
The album cover was on the outside of a building you were walking in and you just kind of stop and you see it and it's like,
What's that
I'm
about?
gonna listen to the album real quick and I'll save my opinions on that for later. Like, I'll come back to you.
Right.
Like I shouldn't worry too much about the album cover, but I can't pretend like I don't have thoughts, you know?
Yeah.
We'll see how I feel about this in, what is it, an hour and a half.
Yeah. And now I will say this, like the musical palette of what he's doing, like musically,
Yeah.
is kind of fucking brilliant. Like the way he's dipping into that classical music, but like in the way that flourishes it and really like enriches it. It doesn't feel pretentious. It doesn't feel like, you know, like this is classical music, Kendrick. It feels like, oh shit, it enhances what's happening in the moment. You know what I'm saying? In an organic way where it's like, no, this is a hip hop trap like sound and beat. And then you feel these flourishes of the cellos. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. I like the minimal instrumentation on some of the tracks. So like the classical touches, it's way more eclectic than I think we've ever got on a Kendrick album at least.
Yeah. Oh my God, this is the thing that I was thinking when I said that the Christ imagery. I was like, it looks so like purposefully cheesy with how they like just stay on it for like an awkward amount of time. I was like, it reminds me of have you seen that the Who's That Pokemon compilation where it's like, who's that Pokemon? And then everything they show, it's like the wrong one because it's like, oh, Jigglypuff from the side or something like that. But they always pause on it for an uncomfortably amount of time. Like, it's Jigglypuff. Da-da-da. And he's just like looking at the awkwardness of it, and you know, like, that's the feeling I got when I was looking at the imagery. It was like, yeah, you know that's not right. Fucking united in grief.
I think this started out super fucking strong.
It really does feel like the way he's like sounds like he's at the piano and just like his head up against the fucking upright, you know, just kind of going like, so got some stuff on my mind.
And the way it just like takes off. When he's just almost like speed rapping over like a frantic drum beat, because it starts with the fucking piano.
It's so insane, and you hear
that
little
builds
like
so much.
Yeah. Oh my God, and you hear that little snare underneath that's like weirdly, it's like a floating snare. I don't know how else to fucking describe it. And especially with how it starts, where you hear them, it's like, tell him the truth, tell him and it like cuts into it. Like, oh my God, like the intros on a lot of these tracks, I will say, are fucking a lot of 10 out of 10s on their own.
I think it's Sam Dew, who's just kind of almost doing like, kind of reminded me of the love's gonna get you killed, kind of singing at the beginning of the songs. It's like very slow, kind of just sets like a kind of like emotional, I guess, tone for the track. And he almost kind of works as like a Greek choir coming in and out throughout the album too.
I grieve different. Oh, I see already.
Oh, yeah.
The album sets up like he sounds like, you know, that lyric like, I grieve different. You know, sort of like, I'm such a different, like, you know, I cut from a different cloth, you know what I mean? Like, I'm a different breed. You hear the response afterwards at the end where he goes, everybody grieves different. You know,
Yeah.
like, so it's like this weird already like undercutting itself in that way that reminded me of like a track like Humble, right? Where it's like, you know, wait, what is he talking about? Is he talking about to all the rappers out there? Oh, you listen to the album. Oh, he's talking to himself. Hey, bitch, be humble, you know? Like, so there's already this undercutting that's kind of happening, you know what I'm saying?
Because N95 sounds super up its own ass and preachy at the beginning. I think the whole point of it is to take you on a journey of his personality. Like, he's going to start off kind of sounding like an asshole, but then he kind of gets better throughout the album.
I will say, oh my God, I love this hook though. The fucking impact of the bass with the boom, you out of pocket. Like,
oh God, yeah.
That blasts so goddamn hard. A lot of people saying that he's being a little inspired by Baby Keem, and it's interesting because, like, I'm like, I see that in the way that Kendrick is enhancing what Baby Keem does, because like with a lot of, you know, the switch ups and weird stuff that he's doing, like, does feel like more akin to what kind of like Baby Keem's kind of been on, right? But in this way, I feel like he's like splaying out the sound more in a way that feels like you're in an actual like audio journey, like a 3D audio journey on a lot of these tracks, you know, where you hear like weight and like stuff filling out in places, you know what I'm saying?
It's funny because I know we weren't big fans of Baby Keem when we listened to his album.
Yeah, like I was not fucking with Baby Keem.
But I really do think he kills the Savior interlude, which is basically just a Baby Keem solo verse.
That's one of the lesser points for me.
Well, see, I didn't really like his chorus on Savior, but I think the interlude is pretty dope.
Some of these hooks was not exactly hitting for me like that.
Oh,
in a way
no,
that was like, huh?
No.
Like, it really threw me off. Like, I was like, oh no, he's not like hitting it, you know? Like, now the end of N95, I did like with the serving up a look, dancing in the job, hella did a big step 11. Because I was like, I had that moment, and he integrated it in a way where I couldn't tell like what it was. But then when you hear that like venting in the same house, I was like, there was an unreleased song that like got leaked where it was like kind of him singing like, you know, the itsy bitsy spider with the water stop, but like in a thing, and it was like like in the original version, I was like, oh, that's kind of clever, but a little silly. But then the way he like integrated in this way, where like I couldn't tell what it was, I was like, that's actually kind of brilliant. God damn it. And then see, and that's the thing, like this is preachy of its own ass. But then what's the first thing he's saying? Like, where the immigrants at? What community feel they're the only ones relevant? Where the immigrants at? Where the communities feel they're the only ones relevant? And it's like there's already that like thing that's hitting you at the idea of like, you know, everyone feels like their situation is actually the most important. So like your thing is actually just detracting from my thing, you know, and like just pointing out like how directly hypocritical that is, right? You know, like, and then with this shit hard. And at first I was just like, oh, this is so cool. Like just saying like, yo, this shit can go in. But then I was thinking like, as I listened back to the album again, where I was like, oh wow, this shit is hard. Like,
yeah, you know, mentally
figure, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. So I was like, oh my God, you entertaining old friends when they toxic, you know, like, oh man.
Which is very hilarious going into Worldwide Steppers.
My face fell and I wept for I heard Korean Black. And I'm like, what? Oh, where are you going? Where are we going, Kendrick?
Luckily, his involvement is pretty minimal.
Minimal, yeah, right now, at least, I think for this track, right? I don't think he says anything for this one, like a verse or anything. He does
come back on another one later.
Yeah, like Baby Keem and Kodak kind of sound alike, so I was like, wait, who's this? Like, I don't know. Should I feel up in arms about this? I can't. Both of them are like kind of like lyrically at around the same pitch to me. So like vocally as well as like rhyme skill level. You know what I mean? So it's just like, and then Worldwide Step. But it's like, so like, yeah, I hear Kodak, and then I hear the tap dancing, And then I hear, like, you know, him coming with the line where it's like, germophobic, hetero, and then, like, cutting into, like, this shit is not, like, for average motherfuckers, you know, doing the, like, overstuffing the flow sort of rhyme at the beginning, right? And then, like, so, and it was like, it hadn't made me have that moment. It's like, wait, he's germophobic, hetero, and I'm assuming he's saying, like, homophobic, right? Like, that's the line. And, of course, it comes back at the end. But I was thinking, like, wait, is he saying that he's heterophobic, too? But then I was like, oh, this is, like, the confession. This is, like, it's like, I'm fucking scared of people, and I'm straight dude, and I'm homophobic. You know what I mean? Like, the weird, like, but it was such an awkward admission. Like, I don't... And then as he gets to the end of the song, he mentions Dr. Sebi. It feels like that's sort of like, oh yeah, I'm referencing, you know, this medicine man I respect. And I was like, did a little bit, a teeny bit of Googling. And I remember, like, it was insane. Like, the first thing I saw was, like, he was sued in 1987 for practicing medicine without a license. He had to pay $900 and refrained from making disease-specific claims. He was later accused in Honduras of money laundering and imprisoned until his death in 2016 from pneumonia. It's been 5 years. You ain't looked that one up. You ain't looked that one up. You know, or you do, and were you ignoring what those people were saying? You know what I mean? Like, but then the way he fucking ends the song, though, like, I can't even act like that wasn't fucking dope. My last Christmas toy drive in Compton handed out eulogies, not because the rats in the pocket had red gradient, but because the high blood pressure flooded the catering. So what's the difference between your life when hiding motives, more fatalities, and reality bring you closure? The noble person that goes to work and prays like they supposed to, slaughter people too. Your murder's just a little bit slower. And so, like, the hook that you hear earlier where he's like, I'm a killer, he's a killer, she's a killer, bitch, you know? Like, yeah. Where it's supposed to feel like originally just a generic, yeah, I'm a killer, it's a rap chorus, you know? Then it turns into the, now I don't want to sing along with this, you know what I mean?
Die Hard, to me, is this album's closest chance at, like, a radio hit.
But I got to say to Nay, no, my brother, because this hook is nothing. Blast, is he not a rapper? Like, why is he just doing the hook? Blixt, BLXST. Like, this was supposed to be his loyalty, you know, loyalty. But, like, nothing is topping that one, especially, like, if this is going to be the comparison, you know what I mean? Like, and the verses aren't bad, but it's just, like, you know. Then we get Father Time. Oh, the first thing I wrote was the hook is, but I like the classical music feel. I like the melting, rewinding beat. You know what I'm saying? Like, this feels like one of those things where it's like he's just trying to, like, going in and talking about his experience and how he feels, right? Like, I love that one line where he says, everything them four walls had taught me made habits buried deep. That man knew a lot, but not enough to keep me past some streets. My life is a plot twisted from directions that I can't see. Like, I love that imagery, right? Like. And again, like, I love how he sets up imagery that, like, gives you that idea of, like, you know, trauma and absorbing things in the culture that you're not, that you don't have the intelligence to realize is bad. You know what I'm saying? Right, yeah. And then you hear, like, this musical sequence of woodwind instruments and shit like that. Like, the flourishes of that sound so fucking cool. And then when he has that one lyric, when Kanye got back with Drake, I was slightly confused. Guess I'm not as mature as I think. Got some healing to do. and like, so, like, I liked a lyric like that, right? Where, again, he's tearing down this idea of, I am the rap savior. I'm the most perfect person. And he's saying, like, no, I was thinking this beef was gonna go on forever. What the fuck? Like, what the fuck you doing? Go at him, motherfucker. What are you talking about? And then go like, oh shit, look at me being the asshole, like being bloodthirsty. And for what reason? You know what I mean? Like, I love these moments of introspection like this, you know, of him saying, like, I'm not the savior. Please stop looking at me. I am not this great guy. What did he say? Like, to my partners that figured it out without a father, I salute you. May your blessings be neutral to your toddlers, you know? It's crucial. They can't stop us if we see the mistakes. Like, I love that line. They can't stop us if we can see the mistakes. Till then, let's give the women a break. Grown men with daddy issues, you know, like.
I think this album is going to be very helpful for people. How it kind of deals with the toxic masculinity of not being able to express, like, sadness and not being able to deal with emotions and kind of keeping it hidden and keeping it, like, buried. And I think a lot of people who may not really think about that or think it's bullshit are going to hear Kendrick talking about it from a very personal standpoint and be able to relate to it more. So I think that's going to be helpful for people for sure.
Then we get to the next track where all of the things that you say that are all completely true and are all things that I know that Kendrick Lamar is trying to lead up to as this song happens. But man, I can't go with you there, Kendrick, because what are you giving me right now? Like,
Ma, what are they giving me?
Like, okay, let's just get into it. First of all, I love the concept of what he's doing. Like, the fucking, oh, hey, here's this dude, like, street gutter dude, and he's just gonna, like, sort of, like, start sounding like he's just talking and giving you his life, but as you hear him, oh, it's more of a cadence. Oh, he's, like, rapping, like, and you hear the piano going, so he's doing that, To Pimp a Butterfly flip, right? Where it's like, oh, you think this is just gonna be a thing, but now this is like a mini skit song where it's like, he's giving you this person's life and, you know, that sort of thing. Like, and again, it's giving you all that setup, you know, and he says it in the lyrics himself, had to steal for a meal you can't eat, you know? And then, well, the way he ends the song where it's like, poverty, Red Cross, food banks, WIC, now look at this shit, we own property. Like, it's so abruptly, awkwardly ends like that, but, like, I get, like, the point that he's trying to make, but then you have to, like, have the pullback, right? Because it's like, okay, this is where I feel like it fails in the same way that the Donda album fails. Now, I feel like this album is much better than the Donda album. But in this respect, where it tries to do the like, hey, aren't we all imperfect people? So look at this guy, look at the circumstances that he was dealt, and doesn't that make it okay? And shouldn't we automatically now just be, because now that we have his story, shouldn't we now be forgiving of the sexual assault that he did to that young lady? Like, it's just like, but no, but because it's like, you didn't do anything. Like, Kodak didn't say anything about, like, it more feels like, you know, when Robert Downey Jr. was trying to, it was awkwardly at that one award show, and he's like, and I think Mel Gibson should be allowed back into the spotlight. He's done his time, and like, you know, we can forgive other people. Why can't we forgive him? And it's like one of those things where I was like, I get what you're saying, but you, Robert Downey Jr., like, should not be doing the, hey, can't we forgive him? No, it needs to be Mel Gibson talking to the people that he has offended and getting the forgiveness from them. So to hear this song where it's like I get the general, like, you know, that you're going for, but to do this thing where it's like, well, because he's just coming in and like, well, let me just rap about how I am, and that's just how I am, so I guess take it or leave it. So, you know, yeah, well, because didn't you hear Kendrick just say that we were all abused? So, I mean, I guess it's like, no, you still have to, like, do stuff. Like, you still have to, like, make amends. You still have to acknowledge and yeah, fucking make amends. Like, so that's what I'm saying. Like, if there was a couple of lines in here where, like, you know, there was a centerpiece where it's like, I felt like a piece of shit. Like, I can't believe what I did. Like, something like that. Then it would be like, oh my God, like someone bearing their soul. This person who, hey, maybe not be the most like high-minded, spiritual, lyrical, whatever, but he's still a human being who can like see his mistakes and try to make amends, you know? But when it's just supposed to be, shouldn't we just be all in the forgiving nature when someone does something bad? I'm just like, not automatically, my guy, you know?
Yeah, I think the Rich interlude was more interesting to me than the song, than Rich Spirit.
No, I did like Rich Spirit. I liked
I thought it was okay. Guess I was just kind of underwhelmed by it.
I just like the, bitch, I'm attractive. Like, I just love the...
Not fucking with you, I'm fasted. It's a pretty good line, too.
Yeah, like, and so this is one of those, like, even, I marked this as one of the lesser songs, but it was still like, oh, but that hook actually was pretty dope, though. Like, you know, stop playing with me before I turn you to a song, you know?
Yeah, that's a really good line, too.
Yeah, and I like the clicky groove that was happening in the background with the open bass underneath. Like, it's a nice, like, vibe. It's a nice, like, you know, chilly vibe, you know what I'm saying? But, and I definitely love the flow on verse 2. Hey, hey, peacemaker, but I'm not naive, brother. Gotta watch your homies and police, brother.
Yeah.
Cloud chasing hell of a disease, brother. Like, I love it.
I don't know what to say about We Cry Together. I don't know how you even really rate that song as a song. Is it a song?
I don't know. It's so insane. And first time hearing it, I will say I was, so just to, you know, tell the truth, David, like, I listened to both of these albums live on the on my stream. So I was like getting emotions firsthand as to how a lot of this track came to me. And I remember this one being like whoa. Like, I don't know. Like, I can clearly tell, like, yeah, this wasn't like actually, like, do you remember that RZA song, Domestic Violence?
No, I don't actually.
Yeah, it's definitely one where it's like, yeah, I'm depicting the raw, like, domestic violence, so, like, I mean, not the actual, like, the punching, hitting, but like, the verbal like abuse and all that sort of stuff, right? And it's like so uncomfortable and you don't want to hear it, and it's like, but it's done so like raw and just like basic that it's like so bad. Like that's the RZA version, and this one, as I was listening to it, it's still like messy as fuck. But as I listened back through it again, I had that feeling of like, I think I get what he's doing, but this is weird.
Yeah, so for folks who haven't heard the song yet or wanting to get some impressions before they check it out, the song it reminds me a lot of For Free because it's an argument.
Yeah.
But with this one, it's him, and I didn't write down here who the other person...
Because I think it's an actress. I don't think it's like a rapper or anything.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can definitely see that.
Oh, I love the scratch in her voice. Oh my god.
Taylor Page. Yeah, she sounds great. I really like her delivery in the song. So they're going back and forth. They're trading insults, and it gets super petty. And if anyone's heard the edited version of the song, it's really funny because it's seriously just you. No, you.
Oh, it brought me back to the late 90s.
Yeah, it's really great. It's really funny. But
and then I just want to say, starts with the Florence Welch sample.
Yeah, how about that?
Look at that.
Did they plan that? I don't know. What a coinky dink.
Adding to the awesome like just intros for all of these songs.
And the trend of going off having weird coincidences with the albums, because we were told that Moon-Shaped Pool, the day the review landed, was on the album's 6-year anniversary, and I feel that's happened like 5 times now, and I don't know, it's getting harder and harder to ignore is all I'm saying.
The stars are lighting for the Going Off crew. But and just how it starts off with the Florence sample, and then you're hearing the hold on to each other, and then you're hearing that psychiatrist, I guess, just say like, this is what the world sounds like, and then so it basically like so many of these like intros really like drop you into the world in the right way, right? It's not just an intro just to sound cool. It's like, oh, this is where we are. And so when the track comes in with the articulate, fuck you, no, fuck you. Nah, you got me fucked up. Nah, fuck you. And then Kendrick coming in with the, just lacing us with the misogyny. Like, I swear I'm tired of these emotional ass, ungrateful ass bitches, unstable ass, confrontational ass, bitch. Like, holy shit. And none of it feels like it's like actually going anywhere, right? Like, it feels like a real argument where it's just like, whoa, what the fuck? Like she responds and has like a point about this, but then they get kind of caught up in sort of like a petty back and forth on this, so the argument doesn't end up like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it really feels like it flows in an awkward way, and you hear like the production sounds so shaky, like shit could be like just breaking right off screen, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, and I don't know, it's so crazy, it's so insane. Like, he's like, I'd rather fuck your cousin, but wait, you said you gonna fuck who? You heard me, nigga. It's nothing. You know what? Fuck you. That's fuck you. Nah, fuck you. Her calling him out, right? Like, she dresses him down. Egotistic, narcissistic, love your own lies. See, you the reason strong women fucked up. When they say it's a man world, you the reason for Trump. You the reason we overlooked, underpaid, underbooked. You the reason Harvey Weinstein had to see this conclusion. You the reason R. Kelly can't recognize the abusive. I was like, oh, whoa. And then when he comes in, man, shut the fuck up. We all know you still playing his music. I was like, oh my God.
It's really one of those, like, I don't know what re-listenability to this necessarily is. Like, you're not putting this on a playlist, because...
Oh, sure. This isn't... Yeah, I mean, this is like Kim, basically.
Yeah, you wouldn't just put that track on and just, bop to it. Like, no way.
You put this on to be like, yo, you heard that new Kendrick? Like, let me start you with my favorite track.
This is crazy. Anyway, you have to hear it at least once. It's loaded as hell.
Bro, it's like you acting... like you the real victims. Let's talk the truth. Women in general just can't get along. And she's like, well, no, explain. When Nate got a job, you said you were staying home. I'm like, I don't know what that's supposed to relate to. Like, but then the random, look, why R&B bitches don't feature on each other's songs? And it's just like, huh? What the fuck are you talking about? He's like, well, never mind, I'm walking out. I was like, what the fuck?
Like, I was thinking, like, you could be talking about how, like, there's a lot of beef between, like, women rappers?
I'm thinking maybe there's a cold chill from like back in the 90s where it was all about being the best singer. Like Whitney and Mariah Carey, they did one song together for a movie soundtrack. True. They was not doing any other songs together. You know what I'm saying? Like, so there's that like, women, you are in competition to be the best, you know, like... but makeup sex, so baby boy, you know? Like, that felt a little underwhelming to me, where it was just like, it felt like the joke ending that didn't really like, because it just cut straight to it. Oh, now we're fucking, yeah, you know what I mean? It wasn't like a, you know, they found a little joke thing that they're like, oh, fuck you for joking about that. It was like, nah, you know, that sort of thing. And then like, oh, maybe I'm kissing on your neck and then because we just happened to get close. Like maybe something like that, you know? But it just felt like it just a little rushed, you know, just to end it somewhere, you know?
Purple Hearts is an interesting one because I think, especially from what I've said about Summer Walker before, I walked away thinking that Kendrick was like the weakest part of the song, next to Ghostface and Summer Walker's parts.
God. Ghostface killer. When I was on the live stream and I heard Ghostface, like my face just like popped, like it's Ghostface. And his verse,
he saved that shit.
Oh my! His verse was so incredible. Like he really felt like he was like floating from like beat to beat as like you heard his like rhymes land and shit. Yo, it was so crazy. And yet with this one, like, I like the way the hook like was relaxed in the beat with the rhymes, you know, like with the tippy toeing down the mud, walking, rolling sevens, ain't ready for no comment. And then they're like, I know you love when the drugs talking, but shut the fuck up when you hear love talking. It's one of those, like, I don't know if this is great or whack, but it's so, like, silly, you know, that I can't help but enjoy it to some degree.
I remember thinking it was, like, annoying how Kendrick was doing, like, the slowed down, shut the fuck up, and his, yeah, baby.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, like, baby.
Oh, no. Are we going back to Austin Powers? What is this?
It sounded like Rocco, fucking Rocco's Modern Life. I was like, what the hell are you doing, dude?
Oh,
Stop
baby.
that.
Oh, baby.
Oh, baby. Oh, baby. Someone has to do that. Someone needs to edit that. So that's disc 1.
Oh, was that disc 1?
That's the end of disc 1.
Okay.
Then Count Me Out is the dynamite explosion fucking track to start off disc 2.
Yeah, I care too much. I want to share too much. In my head too much, I shut down. I ain't there too much. Like, whoa.
Yeah, I think both of these discs start out super fucking strong. It's unfortunate that the next 2 songs, I think, are like the 2 weakest on the entire project.
I will agree on Silent Hill to the extent that, like, this so sounds like this is definitely the hit single from this, but this is so, like, lyrically and, like, even I'll say musically the weakest, like, thing. But, like, god damn it, I'll be goddamn it that pushing these niggas out and be like, I'll be goddamn it that shit is not fucking money. Getting these bitches on me like,
So we got the and that's where the fucking Kodak pops back up.
Oh man, and yeah, it just like tears it all back down again. Where I'm just like, oh come on, stop! Why are you doing this? It's like you are trolling me right now.
Like, I think he has a decent flow, but he sounds like shit. And I mean, he is shit. So
Kodak never sounds like he's like focused. He always sounds like, this is the first thing, I ain't really enunciating well, but that's okay, because apparently, like, he has that, what's that big hit that he's had, like, for weeks or months on end at this point, the Super Goblin or something like that, and I was like, I remember hearing words and be like, yeah, this just sounds like, yeah, most of his songs where it just sounds like he does one take and he's, like, kind of falling asleep with it, and it's like, I don't understand why this is, and see, that's the thing, too, is, like, this redemption arc that we need to have him on, but it's like, but he's clearly doing fine. He's got a huge hit single right now. So, you know,
he
it's
doesn't
not like,
need our fucking help.
Yeah, that's the thing where it's like, if it was like a fucking 21 Savage, or, because he hasn't really had like a hit in a minute, right? Like, you know, and maybe he had done something like a little spicy or something like that, and he comes on here and actually talks about something, you know, then I'd be there. But it feels like he's just, you know, dangling him in front of us and be like, aren't we supposed to forgive? Look, see, like, it's like, no, you have to actually do something. You have to say something. Now I will say, I actually did like Crown. I liked the singing like bit of it. I don't know. I actually really enjoyed how that one worked. Like, I remember being light on it at first, but coming back to it and being like, I like how it's the more just like having the moment of just being contemplative, and then, you know, of course, having that moment where it's just like, I can't please everybody. I can't please everybody. Like, just having that in middle, right? So it's like, you know, again, flipping that idea of like the savior of rap, you know, and then just having that like moment where it's like, oh, I can't just say it. Like, I can't be this. Like, even though I want to help, I want to do this. Like, I don't think I'm going to be able to do that because it requires so much.
I just think as a song, I wasn't really feeling it. I think it was just a bit too repetitive and just kind of dull.
Silent Hill, again, I like the silencer blasting and the cello flourishes that kind of happen. And so, like, Kodak Black at the end, he's like, he has it's a bit of an interesting sort of Raekwon the Chef, like, imagery sort of thing with how he's talking, right? Where he's like, fell in love with the block, I ain't had no pop, just a sawed-off shotgun Mossberg. We stacking up that paper proper, awkward diamonds looking like marbles, all the malls, water, awkward, beating the block till we spot them. Like, I ain't want your ice, boy, I want your life, but fuck it, I still might rob him. And it's like, were we not supposed to be forgiving this person who's just said, oh, and I'll do more crimes? Like, you know, like... like, what? Where are we going with it? And then the savior, I'm sorry. I was like, it's nice, but it so meanders. Like, especially, it just is out of energy by the time you get to the bend down on my luck when I fall. I gotta get up, I gotta get back up and ball. Like, I'm just like, oh my God, what? I don't care. Like, you know?
Yeah, I think Kendrick's last verse on the song was like the best part of it. But other than that, I wasn't really feeling it.
Now, I do like the intro to the actual Savior song, because just the way his voice is affected, like, Kendrick made you think about it, but he is not your savior. Cole made you feel empowered, but he is not your savior.
I dug that. I also liked, we didn't talk about it, but the ending of We Cry Together, you hear the tap dancing again, and the voice just says,
stop tap dancing around the conversation.
I like that they did that just for that setup and payoff.
That's this album's I Knew You Was Conflicted, which he says at one point.
Yes.
I was like, oh shit, there it is.
He brought it back. Yeah, that's the motif.
I've got feelings about Auntie Diaries. They pretty much echo a whole bunch of people's. I'm not really alone in how I feel about this one, unfortunately. This is a song for straight cis people to rethink about trans people. This song is not really for the trans people, because
all
he does in the song is misgender the whole fucking time. I don't need to hear Kendrick say faggot either. I don't need that shit, especially for how many fucking times he says it.
Yeah, I totally get you on that.
I did give it a 5 though still, which feels, kind of whatever.
Well, because it still takes you on that emotional journey, like...
Yeah, whatever. I think it's a great... I think it's written really well. No, I think it's written really, really well, but honestly, I think, you remember how much hate Macklemore got for Same Love for saying the word faggot in the song once, and it being basically the same thing? Kendrick, honestly, deserves a lot of the same attention. I get what he's trying to say by the end of it, and look at this journey. I said F slur at the end, even though I said faggot 12 times. Okay, whatever. If this ends up making cishet people rethink trans people and see them in a different light, that's great, but I don't need to hear the song again.
I like that it pushes the Overton window in hip hop now, right? Because now, where were we last year? Is it okay for the baby to say, and it's like, God damn it, no, we should be here, where it's like, do you understand enough about this? You know what I'm saying? This is where we should be now, and thank God.
And like I mentioned with Macklemore, Macklemore was never going to change the conversation because he was already kind of a joke and no one really took him seriously. Kendrick's as big of a fucking name that people are actually going to listen to him, I think.
Right. And I think about it in terms of man, I did have that moment as I was listening to it live when it was revealing to me, and I was like, oh my God, and I got a little emotional over it, because I was having that moment, man, 12, 13-year-old me flashing back 10, 20 years ago, right? Hearing the hottest rapper alive with dropping their album, and it's the Eminem album, and this is the album you have to listen to, and you have to deal with that word. You know what I'm saying? And then having this moment of the 12, 13-year-olds of today, they get to start here. They get to start here. You know what I'm saying?
That is a good point, yeah.
And so just in the grand scheme of things, it is useful. That's just how I feel, Yeah. But certainly anyone can feel how they feel. But I felt like Mr. Meeseeks, ooh, he's trying, you know?
Yeah, that's basically the feeling I got. I was like, I'll give Kendrick a gold star for this and move on, you know? And I honestly think the rest of the album from this point just kind of continuously rides that strong wave for me.
Mr. Morale was okay. I like the radiating bass line. Doesn't necessarily smack, but, you know, nice beat work. But then he has these gems of like bringing up things that like are like, holy shit. Like, I think about Robert Kelly. If he weren't molested, I wonder if his life would have failed him. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is a specific thing, right? Like, the reason why we know at this point that is because he was molested by his like older sister. And so like, you know, these like traumas that kind of like permeate, right? And it's like, no, it doesn't fucking excuse it. But like, just the fact that he's bringing this up means that Kendrick is clearly like listening in and doing the knowledge to these specifics, right? Because the average person doesn't know the specific of that. And so it's like, so why aren't you looking into the Dr. Sebi shit? You know what?
Yeah,
I mean?
That's a good point.
You know? So,
yeah, I had completely forgotten until I watched Fantano's review about when they were talking about removing people from Spotify, that Kendrick was like, I'll take my stuff off Spotify if you take their music off. And I was like, oh God, yeah, I wish he hadn't done that. Kendrick, I forgot about that.
What are you doing? Do you remember what song it was with the lyric about like, there was this one Christian who said, oh, you know, I don't need to wear a mask. And then next thing you know, he was like, you know, looking for Dr. Fauci's help. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I think that might be on the last track. I think that might be on the next one.
So yeah, we'll get to it in a second. So, but yeah, like, you know, Mr. Morale, like I enjoyed, and I did enjoy the way it started with it was one of the worst performances I've seen in my life. Oh yeah, because starting from the ending of like, and I do really like how it ends on that punchline of the track before Auntie Diaries, where it's just like, yeah, whatever, we can say it together as long as you're cool with this white chick saying it. Like, I love that it showed the personality of his uncle. Yeah, let me get it right. Yeah, of his uncle, right? Of being like, the jokes are like, hey, do you get it now? Do you see the intersectionality of why it's not okay? Right? Like, I loved a moment like that. Intersectionality is a word more motherfuckers need to just be hearing, right? Like, how all of this shit can affect all of us and how we need to pay attention. Like, hey, don't you get it? Why they would be offended? Remember when you felt bad about that one? So come on, you know? But okay, so Mother I Sober. Now, I did enjoy the shit out of this one.
I thought it was really good. Super emotional delivery on the verses and the chorus. Yeah, I've got no complaints.
Yes, I wrote down like, oh my God, I love this track and everything about it up until the tail end. So yeah, this song is all about, you know, about black trauma and a conversation not being addressed in black families, the devastation, haunting generations and humanity. They raped, content warning. They sexual assault, they raped our mothers, then they raped our sisters, then they made us watch, then they made us rape each other. And like the way the music builds, it was so like, oh my God, like, I had an emotional fucking moment just hearing that. Yeah, every other brother has been compromised. I know the secret that every rapper that's been sexually abused, I see him daily burying their pains in chains and tattoos. So listen close before you start to pass judgment on how we move. Learn how we cope. Whenever his uncle had walked her from school, his anger grows deep in misogyny. This is post-traumatic black families, and a sodomy today is still active. So I set free myself from all the guilt that I thought I made. I set free my mother from all the hurt that she had titled shame. I set free my cousins, you know, like all of this sort of stuff. And it's like, it's that feeling of like, we've got to undo this. We put a name to it. We've got to like, you know, get the language to address this and like fucking undo this shit. And then it gets to the tail end. So I set free the hearts filled with hatred, keep our bodies sacred. As I set free all you abusers, this is transformation. And then going into the next track with Kodak Black saying, I choose me. And it's just like, it's just such a sour note. Like, Kodak Black, have you forgiven yourself? Oh, but then the last song's really nice. I like the beat of that one. You know,
I like Mirror.
I like the tisk tisk sounding beat. I don't know how to. You know, I thought that was really cool.
There's a lot of this, unfortunately, that, like I said, isn't going to really make it to where I'm going to be revisiting this one a lot. There's a couple songs, but
the emotional rawness, for God's sake.
Yeah, I mean, that for one, it's way more of an experience. And I think I even said this, I changed my opinion on it since, but I remember when we reviewed To Pimp a Butterfly, I said that was an album that was best enjoyed as a whole. And I think there's a lot of songs on it now that you can just, pick and choose and listen to whenever you want. But this one does really take you on a fucking journey, and a lot of it is more appreciated in context at the very least. But yeah, there is unfortunately a lot of moments that Kodak just kind of shits all over. I walked away with a 4.
I had to give it a 4.5.
Okay.
Certainly not that blindingly golden score.
No way.
But it is one of those things where, again, this is the push and pull of execution versus intention, and how it does. And it's I respect it, and it's definitely a noble effort. We've gone through this with artists before, right? Where it's just hey, maybe this ain't your best, but I see you experimenting and trying to do all this shit. And I don't want you to stop, because if you didn't, then you'd be just another one of these, another rapper just kind of doing the same thing and puddling around in the water. And you know what I'm saying? So it's I gotta say, I like that you're doing it, right? But at the same time, it's just it just feels like some of this could have been a little put back in the oven for a little longer,
And for the Going Off podcast, I think about wraps it up for this week. Thank you so much for checking us out, spending your time with us. We greatly appreciate it. We mentioned it at the top, but I wanted to repeat it here. If there's an album that you have in mind that you want to hear us talk about, you can head on over to our Ko-fi. It is ko-fi.com/goinoff. That's GOINOFF to request an album to be reviewed on a future show. Make sure you're following us on Twitter and all our socials so you can make sure you know what we're talking about, what we're working on, and are subscribed to our each individual YouTubes so you don't miss any of the videos we post once they launch, so you don't miss any of them, because we post pretty frequently there too. I got the Fan House still popping off, fanhouse.app/riffcoms, still posting the Kids Bop reaction videos, trying to make a dent in those, still have a long way to go. And RC, you're more on the Patreon.
P to the A to the T to the R to the O to the N to the dot to the C to the Patreon.com/rapcritic. You know what it is. Freaking 350 patrons. I'll get started on my 1989 best and worst of rap music list, and going on from there as it goes up, as well as you folks coming through and being able to join the Rap Critic Discord and chat with me and fellow fans, movie and game nights, as well as getting to see episodes early, and if the $5 level gets to do the talk back section, where what you think about the song that I'm going to be talking about this week, because I'm trying to branch out, you know what I'm saying? Of course, I got my own Ko-fi, ko-fi.com/rapcritic, if you want to request movies for my movie podcast, or songs and live streams that I be doing, because they do be fun and poppin'.
We'll be taking next week off, but we'll be back the following week. So until then, for Going Off, I'm Muse.
And I'm Rap Critic, and ending this podcast here